Are you ever leaving the house and you're like, I want to take my water bottle with me and just my essentials, but I don't need to carry like layers or tech or anything that would merit carrying anything bigger than this, and you want to be able to comfortably carry a water bottle? This might be a really good solution for you. So Alpaca recently came out with their Flight Sling Pro, which is essentially a slightly bigger version of their very popular Flight Sling with the little expandable mesh sleeve that caters to a water bottle, umbrella, things like that. And the organization is a little bit different on this one. I'm gonna talk about what I love about this sling, some nitpicks that I have. I'll pack it out so you can see what fits comfortably in here. And then I'll share my thoughts on whether or not this is a worthwhile upgrade from the standard one, or for anyone that is trying to decide between the two, should you justify the price difference between them? So let's get into it. The three things that I appreciate the most about this sling are: one, that expandable mesh sleeve for the water bottle and other things. Secondly is just the overall form factor. And lastly, the strap system, a few things related to that. Starting off with the mesh sleeve, so as you can see right now, I have a 24-ounce Owala in here. Having this type of functionality in a compact, like 2.5 liter, essentially a pocket relief sling, is not super common. I've done like more research, and there are other companies that have their own version of this, but every design has been a little different. The Toshi Rework sling, even though I haven't surprisingly tried it yet, I've been meaning to, but just from looking at videos of it, I really like how they have the stowaway compression straps that you can use for a water bottle. But I feel like the way they've implemented this design, maybe it's less functional for something like a jacket, but for something like a water bottle specifically, or even an umbrella, I think it's a little easier to both take it out and put it back in. You don't have to kind of like hold it and MacGyver the straps around it. But as you can see here, they're using this really nice stretch mesh canopy. And then at the ends, you have like a thinner ripstop nylon with these push button drawstrings. And so I actually need some water. Sitting down, it might be a little bit more awkward, but when you don't have your water bottle in there, it stows away really nicely. Interestingly enough though, it doesn't really stand on its own. I guess it depends what you have in here. Right now I don't have a lot of stuff, but it is pretty slim. But once you open this up, then it makes it standable, even just like that. But yeah, it's like super easy to throw the water bottle in there. Throw it like that. The only thing, you just have to make sure, when I first started testing this, I didn't cinch it down as much. But yeah, there are like a few times where I like bent down and it slid out. But as you can see here, like with this design, it keeps it in place really well. And then like taking it out is pretty easy, as well as putting it back in. So I would say like maybe a bit of a niche use case, I don't know. But me personally, I'm kind of like a weirdo in the sense that I personally don't use medium-sized slings much for myself. Our go-to like diaper bag system is a medium-sized sling. Right now we're using the Air Day 4 Max. Up until then, we were using the Bellroy 10-liter camera one, which I like them both a lot for that specific use case. But it's either I'm using something between like 1 to 3 liters compact pocket relief system, or once I start like thinking I might need to take a water bottle, possibly a layer, that I just go straight into backpack mode. I don't go into like in-betweens. But I really like this, just being able to like leave the house, have the water bottle in there, and then just my essentials, especially now that the weather is like starting to warm up. When layers aren't involved, like really, if I'm not carrying my laptop or things like that, then this is a really great solution in that sense. Second thing I really like about this sling is just the overall form factor. I mean, on one end, like functionality wise, like with the water bottle in there, it just stands on its own. So it's like, whether you have the water bottle or not, I just like the slim tapered design, the zipper like here at the top. It just looks good and it like fits really nicely across the chest. And then the last thing that I really like about this sling, and just ALPAKA slings in general, like I feel like they're masters of the magnets, and so they have their like maglocks system. There's a few things I like about it is the fact that the magnets themselves, beyond the fact that it's like a really satisfying tactile experience when you click in, I feel like there's like a nice additional layer of security in that, like if someone wants to steal it from you, like they have to like push in and simultaneously go out, but at the same time when you're taking the sling off, which I love magnetic slings because I just like prefer removing the sling like that than having to like put it over me. When I'm wearing sunglasses or a hat, like it gets in the way, and where I like to keep my sling, it's usually like, not that it's like hard to remove it, but yeah, I'd much rather just do like a quick that. And then they're also removable. And if you want to remove them, like it's actually like not too hard. Yeah, I mean, you just like pluck it out, but hard enough that a thief would have a hard time removing it. And then the last thing that I really like is just the fact that they like swivel, right? So they kind of like articulate and just keeps it in a just nice conformed position around your chest. Now, just a few nitpicks that I have with it are, one, the lack of compatibility with their hub ecosystem. Secondly, I would have liked a little bit more organization specifically for smaller things. And then just lastly, no grab handle, and I'll explain why, even though this is a compact sling where it's not like typically very important. But first and foremost, and something that I'm a little confused by, especially with this being like a sling that just came out recently, is I recently also started testing their whole like hub ecosystem. I've been using both their mini mod panel, which is a little magnetic strip that you can put on a wall, as well as their hub clip and hub carabiner. So being able to attach it to other bags that I'm using and just like make it easier to access things like keys. But the part that throws me off is that the tether keychain here is not compatible with this one. And so if you're on ALPAKA's ecosystem and you have, you know, like their little hub keychain attached to your keys, you would ideally want that to be compatible with this, especially given the fact that this is stitched on, you can't even remove it. So essentially, like if I wanted to use their hub system, I would have to have this guy also on my keychains, but because like these are magnets, like they'd kind of get in the way with one another. So I guess ideally I would want to see like more universality in like their innate like mod tether keychains, as well as everything else that's being built out within their ecosystem, which I think is really cool what they're doing. Secondly is in terms of organization for smaller things. So I think the sling will suit certain people that just prefer open dump pockets, but you get three areas, right? You get the front stash pocket, the main compartment in the middle, and then just like a rear concealed pocket. The rear concealed pocket and the front pocket are just two open dump pockets. I'm used to that being the case for the rear one, and I'm totally fine with that, but like I've gotten accustomed with slings like the Bellroy Venture Ready, now the new Air Day sling, where you have even just like a simple gusseted sleeve in the middle just to create a little segmentation rather than just, you know, having your keys and whatever else you have in here just creating clutter. My mind naturally prefers things a little bit more organized. And then in the main compartment as well, you have a sleeve that can fit up to, I think, like an 8.3 inch tablet, so like an iPad mini. This is like a 3D printout of an iPad mini, but it's just one big dump pocket as well as one zippered mesh pocket that actually goes like fairly deep to the bottom, so it's still kind of a dump pocket. I like, you know, like with these, when maybe it's just stitched in the top portion so you can throw your sunglasses and they're suspended from everything else, but here, even if you put sunglasses, they would sink to the bottom, and so anything else that you might put in here would get in the way. With their standard flight sling, you don't have that zippered mesh pocket. You do have two sleeves, but that's like pretty much it. I would have liked to see at least like one or two stretch mesh or ripstop nylon little slip pockets where I could put things like AirPods or a chapstick, small things, rather than just having to kind of like toss them into the main vortex. And then lastly, the no grab handle. Like, look, for a 2.5 liter sling, usually like having a grab handle is a nice to have. I'm not gonna complain if I have it. But with this one in particular, given the fact that one of the differentiating features and one of the reasons for why you should get it, because if you don't value having this expandable mesh sleeve where you can put a water bottle, umbrella, things like that, then you should just get like the standard flight sling, which is also cheaper. But when you have the water bottle in there, I mean, it kind of like triangles like this, so you can just grab it like that or from one of the straps. But I would have liked a little grab handle, especially when you're like carrying it like this, because it bulks up and it gets heavier. In that case, it would make the carry experience a little bit smoother. All right, quick walkthrough. Really like their 400D Axoflux ripstop nylon. You can see like super slender. I'll pack it out. So front stash pocket, again, this is just kind of like one big dump pocket. And I'll throw car keys and a magnetic wireless charger. In the main compartment, just so you can see, this is like a 3D printout, but iPad mini fits here. Can't fit anything bigger. Just keep in mind though that because it's so slim, unless you open it up, and even when you do, if you put the water bottle, it gets in the way. If you put something hard like an iPad mini, you're kind of limited in like what goes in here in this main compartment. If you take it out, then you get a lot more expandability. So just something to keep in mind there. But for all intents and purposes, I'll keep that in there, and then I'll just throw like in this zippered pocket sunglasses, but they do go all the way down to the bottom almost. And then rear concealed pocket, just smaller stuff. So wallet, little Woobin, flashlight, pair of nail clippers. And that's mainly it. Now, if I want to throw a water bottle, you can't. This is a 32 ounce. That won't fit, but 24 ounce wallet, even with everything in there, fits pretty comfortably. And then these drawstrings work really well. And that's it. And as you can see, like once you have that there, you can just plop it and it stands really nicely. Let me show you next to like a few other slings kind of like in its size range. This one's packed out, this one not so much, but this is next to the Sita sling. This is next to the Bellroy Venturetti, which is listed as 2.5 liters, but you know, definitely like more compact. Here's the Bellroy Transit, which I think size-wise, you know, it has more depth, but overall dimensions, like when it's on your body, they're kind of a similar size. And then this is the new Air Day Sling 4 that I've also been enjoying quite a bit, which is also listed as 2.5 liters. So yeah, final thoughts. I really dig the form factor of this sling. I think if you don't mind the more minimal, bare bones organization as far as like segmenting smaller things, and you want a compact sling that's gonna serve as a pocket relief system, but you also wanna be able to take your water bottle with you and not have to like physically carry it without having to jump into a much larger sling where you're really like not using any of that space beyond for the water bottle holder. I think this is a really clever execution, a lot more functional than a lot of the slings on the market, specifically for this use case, with the drawstrings, with the mesh. Again, like with a sling like the Toshi Rework, like their 2.5 liter, they do have a kind of similar intended design with their stowaway straps, but I find that this is something that's going to be a lot more frictionless as far as you like taking it out to take a sip, putting it back. I probably wouldn't want to fiddle around too much with 2 compression straps, like holding the water bottle while I'm like, you know, I'm sure that like you eventually get good at it, but this feels like a lot more practical and functional in that sense. The materials are fantastic. The olive green looks really cool. And yeah, just hopefully, you know, as Alpaca continues to expand their whole hub ecosystem, because they have so many different attachments, like one specifically for AirPods, one for sunglasses, etc., making it so that the ecosystem is fully universal. And anytime that they're putting in like an integrated keychain, especially when it's non-detachable, that hopefully that does also work seamlessly with anything that would in that hub ecosystem. But yeah, other than that, best of luck and cheers.